employee.
Yes, it is.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 209. Business records exception.
Still hearsay, Your Honor.
Business record exception gets the business record, but
Can you hear it out okay?
If there's hearsay involved inside the business record, there's still objection to hearsay.
Your Honor, the business records exception.
I think you can.
I mean, I don't agree. I think that's the point that hearsay can
approach.
They're just objecting to everything. And rightly so. Okay, I think they're muting the volume there when they go to that. That's grand. What do you make of it? I don't know whether it's going to be. I don't know whether she'll be cross-examined today. I don't know. Is there time for that? I'm looking forward to that part. But her lawyer just seems terrible. Everything she's trying to bring up, the hair, or just see there a few minutes ago when she was trying to clarify, she just started shouting, I was there, I seen it. I'd love to know as well what people think of the way she's looking at the jury. I just find it a small bit weird. Hi, Diane. She's full of it, but if you go on later, the law she'll probably win. Yeah, I was looking at some of the comments there as well. She didn't mention his name, but I wonder.
What, if any, communications did you have?
Like, I wonder if you're on the jury, would you just get pissed off anyway? Even if you know it's not the letter of the law?
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, Ms. James has testified.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right, we can take that down, Michelle. In the February, I'm going to jump to February, March 2016. What, if any, communications did you have with Mr. Depp about a prenup?
Well, after the engagement.
I think so, Rebecca. Probably will.
The engagement party,
can you hear her? You can hear her, okay, can't you?
I started to feel like it would make, I know that he earned significantly more than me, successful actor. I wanted to eliminate any doubt in his mind and in other people's minds. So I brought it up to him and brought it up to my therapist.
Objection, hearsay.
She's just saying that she brought it up to her therapist. She's not saying what she said. But please focus on Mr. Depp, okay?
Of course. Johnny said he would tear it up. He said, if you ever brought one up to me, or if I ever saw one, got my hands on it, I'd tear it up. Only way out of this is death. Only way out of this is death. And I
think she's going to go on about the prenup now here, but she's going to say here at the start that Johnny didn't want it. But then when Johnny went to get a prenup, she started crying.
But I did feel that it would eliminate suspicion or doubt, and it would make things easier. And I told him over and over again, are you sure? Are you sure? Maybe we should do this. And one time he said to me, he's like, kid, are you already thinking of how you're getting out of this? Are you already planning to get out of this, kid? You already planning on leaving? It was around the same time as the moving in together conversation. He accused me of having 1 foot out.
I'm not sure on that, Gaelic.
And they kind of were happening around the same time. I still had my apartment. And
what do you make of the way she's looking at the jury?
Now,
do you think they'd find it engaging, or would it be a bit?
His main house. and
Creeped out by
I've
you.
been to the ECB building downtown where my best friend was living at this time. While the decorations and the remodeling had been done on Sweetser. And so these conversations were kind of happening about how to build our future together and how we were going to move forward together. And I would have forgotten about the extent that we had those conversations early on in the engagement if it hadn't been for my therapist's notes.
I'm sorry, if it hadn't been for your what?
If it hadn't been for my therapist's notes, which were taken at the time when I was talking to her about this and my conversations with
Objection,
Johnny.
hearsay.
Okay.
I'll sustain the
We'll
objection.
move on. Okay. Let's take it to March 2014. Did there come a time there was an engagement party?
Yes, so it was March 2014.
Yeah, that's true.
Please describe for the jury.
We had an engagement party, and we decided that when we did get married, we'd have a small wedding, something intimate. But, our lives were kind of big. His life was extremely big. And we needed to incorporate, we wanted to have a bigger engagement party than a wedding, and kind of get our guests in, our family, our friends, and have a big event of it, as opposed to making the wedding something that was big. And, so we kind of put it on the engagement party and had a bunch of people, a lot of friends, business acquaintances, a lot of family. I had all of my family friends and my childhood friends come out for it. And I even invited my therapist. It was, a big event.
Okay. And describe what took place at the engagement party.
We walk in together and we took some pictures and
I tend to agree to
said a few hellos, and then Johnny disappeared upstairs.
Just how scripted it is as well. It's very obvious.
It was in a big abandoned building that was rented out for events. And he disappeared upstairs almost the entire party, I would say. It was kind of came down at the end when we were leaving, and came down once because he was at the time sharing drugs with my dad.
Objection. Speculation. Lack of foundation.
How do you know that he was sharing drugs with your dad?
I was there. I watched it.
Please continue.
So full of it. We're going to struggle to get onto any cross-examination today at this pace. But like our lawyers, they're going to object at anything, any lack of foundation, they're straight in there. I think she's trying to come across as engaging, the same. What is it, guys? Do you think that is it just what doesn't feel so sincere about it? Because I was thinking about it last night in the video I did today, but I was wondering, was it just my own because of how much I consumed before seeing it? Was I impacted by that? I don't think I was, though. It just doesn't feel genuine at all. Did anyone see anything? I didn't on... I know there was a few people who just kind of comment on the jury's faces during some testimony, but I didn't see any on yesterday. That'll be very interesting. Just to know how engaged they were, anything at all. It is embarrassing, isn't it?
The jury what a Met Gala is and
Oh, we're
what's
back.
involved in that.
Objection compound.
Overruled.
Met Gala is a big event, annual event, celebrity event in New York. It's a fashion event, but it's just a major red carpet event. And you have to be invited, and it's kind of a thing. and we were invited that year. And I had already gone for the previous year or two, and this year we were going to go together. And at some point in the evening, we're sitting across the table, and Johnny starts asking me about this woman. He thought I was looking at this woman in a sexual way, and I kind of turned it around on him and said that exactly.
Objection, hearsay.
All right. It's context, Your Honor. This is context.
Sustain the objection.
Okay. Just say what Mr. Depp said then. I guess you can't tell us what you said to him.
Okay. He was accusing me of flirting,
That's a good point, Megan. I'll have to update that.
and that's how the argument started. I don't recall what other accusations I was fielding at that moment, but typically in my experience with him, it wasn't just one. So you'd make a point, and then he would go on to a different accusation. But I remember that what started it is this accusation that I had been flirting at this event. We get back to the hotel room, and Johnny shoves me and kind of grabs me by the collarbone area, like not really my neck, but top of my neck, above my collarbone, below my neck. I think at that point when we were still in the living room, I shoved him back, but I don't really recall too many specifics. I remember he threw a bottle at me. It missed me, but it broke the chandelier. And at some point, I remember maybe this was the shove that I was talking about, but at some point, Johnny and I are in a struggle in the living room, and he kind of like shoves me down on the sofa, and I get up and I'm trying to get him off of me, and it's just stronger than me. I don't know how else to describe it. And at some point, he just whacks me in the face. And I had not, at the time, been I think that was the first time I was like, is this a broken nose? At the time, I was unsure what that feeling was, but I suspected I had a broken nose. And other than that, I was relatively unscathed. But I remember my nose being swollen, discolored, red. And I took a picture of my face at some point and made a joke about it to my friend about how bad I looked compared to how.
Objection, hearsay.
All right.
It was not for to prove the truth of the matter, sir.
So I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Okay. Just don't say what you told a friend. Okay. Okay. Let's take you to the Adderall Diaries. When did you start filming the Adderall Diaries?
Believe May. I filmed another movie in New York, March, April, May. I went straight from that movie to another movie, an independent film with James Franco. The one I had previously shot was with Christopher Walken. That's right. Okay, so I went from one to the other, and
Doesn't she look
saw
very much?
Johnny in these, in between.
Is it just me,
I
or
got a long
the
weekend,
clothes she's
or,
wearing today? She
you know,
looks
I'd fly
very much like a
home, be
housewife.
with him, and then fly back. It was kind of like that.
I wonder, does that thing come into it? I'd say it does.
In New York.
Okay. And where was Mr. Depp at that time?
Johnny was in LA at the time, and then eventually went on location for his movie Black Mass in Boston.
So you were in New York and Mr. Depp was in Boston at some point? in May?
Eventually, by May 2014. That's it.
All right.
Oh, we frozen again. It does sound very rehearsed, all right, doesn't it? All the words. Prim and proper dress. It does. I don't know. It's like Sunday kind of mass or something, isn't it? Right. Should I refresh or should I wait? I'm going to have to refresh. Even though this does seem like a good stream now that I have. Oh no, it's still playing. It's just frozen. Yeah. I didn't know that either, guys, that it's that they're off for a week. That gives them some time to prepare. She's going to get tangled up in knots if they can't do it till I come back.
So tell the jury what Mr. Depp said.
He was mad at me for taking the job with James Franco. He
Oh, here comes the dirt on Franco.
hated James Franco and was already accusing
Show me Johnny's face.
me of having a thing with him in my past since we had done Pineapple Express together.
So I'm going to take you to the Boston plane incident. We've heard about that earlier, May 24. Can you please describe for the jury what took place on May 24 relating to the plane incident?
Well, I had spoken to Johnny, you know, he's in Boston, I'm in New York, and I spoke to him. He had already been
I think, yeah, like because she didn't say his name, she could
like many arguments
just say it was someone else.
Telling him about scenes that I
and
had,
it would be very tough to get that over the line in any place that has the sap.
And I wasn't explicit about what I was going to do, then I.
But I don't like. Does it matter?
Of having withheld information and hiding it from him. So I didn't want the.
Like
fight,
I think Johnny has probably already won
the argument, but I had to kind of eggshell tiptoe around how to tell him when I had any sort of scene like that.
Eggshell is a buzzword. What's her other one? Pattern. Should probably start saying that now as well.
We need to stay with what Mr. Depp said. Okay.
Okay. So he was upset with me, but he didn't sound coherent so much on the phone. He was yelling at me about how could you tell me this? How could you tell me this when I'm filming, when I have this scene that I'm doing? How could you tell me this when I'm working? Obviously, I couldn't tell him any other time because we were both filming, and I told him as soon as it was relevant. But he kept saying, how could you tell me this? How could you just tell me this? And it was like I had told him I was having an affair or something, you know, it was that angry at me. But he kind of started to sound less connected to reality as these like arguments would happen on the phone. This is in one day. Eventually, he hangs up on me in the conversation, screaming at me. I talked to his assistants. I won't say what they said, but I had conversations and felt encouraged that I could continue on with the plan, which was for me to get on the plane, go to Boston, pick him up, and we would go back to LA for his daughter's birthday. I was nervous because the conversation I had with him, and he was so upset with me on that conversation, but I figured I assumed he had passed out and that he would have been kind of sobered up the next day, assuming that the work would mean that he felt pressured to kind of pull it together. And I get on the plane. He sent the plane, so I assumed he's not that mad at me. He's over it.
Hey, Chris.
Moving on, he's sobered up. There had been a lot of talk about a sober plan, like a full detox, a full recovery, a doctor, a whole plan.
There's a lot in London, isn't there?
Following what had happened in London. So I was feeling like, okay,
and not much receipts.
Maybe we're here. And I get on the plane. It touches down and the SUV pulls up and it sits on the tarmac for a very long time. He knows I'm on the plane waiting for him. So I kind of started to anticipate that things weren't as I hoped, meaning that he was sober and had slept it off. And I'm sitting on the plane for a very long time waiting for him, and he finally opens the door, and I see him get out of the SUV, and I can guess by how he's moving, how he's walking. I didn't realize at the time I had already become really sensitive to these little changes because my life changed depending on what he was on. And he gets on the plane, and I just knew in every cell of my body something was wrong. And he comes straight up to me, doesn't say anything to me, but is looking at me. He's got these glasses on, and he takes them off in this kind of aggressive manner and sits down across from me, not in the usual spot. We'd kind of have our places on his plane, where you get used to sitting. And I remember I got up and moved to accommodate him getting by so he could sit in the normal seat as per usual. He didn't. He sat across from me. At some point, and I don't really remember the exact sequence of it, we take off, and at some point he's asking me what's wrong with me. What do I have? Do I have something to tell him? You want to talk to me about your day?
Some amazing recall at the start of some of the stories. I think she's going for, did anyone see the US Office? Pam. I think that's the look that she's going for.
Weed and alcohol. I mean, his breath smelled so bad, and I could anticipate that there was a no-win situation here. There was no me talking myself out of this or talking him down or any, a lot of my arguments and my involvement in them are me trying to diffuse by explaining or
Objection responsive.
She's telling the story, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection as part. Good. Okay.
So he is asking me questions, and I know to not engage. I was polite. I made sure to answer minimal amount of, the minimal amount that I could. I moved slowly. I was trying to be polite, but not engage because there was no win. And he kept going, kept asking me. Eventually went from, do you have something to tell me, to, you want to tell me how much you liked it? Tell me, did he slip a tongue? It got worse and worse, just more. It went about how my kissing scene went or how the sex scene went, to asking me what James Franco had done in the scene, to being really explicit about my body. He was talking about he was saying really disgusting things about my body, about how I liked it, how I responded. And then he started just straight up taunting me. I know you liked it. He called me a go-getter. He called me a slut in front. And also this is happening with security and his assistants on the plane. And I remember I felt, I struggle to be able to tell you how embarrassed I was, because he was speaking to me in front of people in this way, asking me if I liked it and if I was wet, and why I wasn't looking at him. And that was proof I wasn't looking at him. That was proof that I was asking for it. Did I ask James to do this and this to me? And how about if he does those things to me? Insert sexually explicit descriptions of what he accused me of wanting or deserving. And I, at some point in this, get up and move to the front of the plane. And I remember getting up so slowly. I didn't want to aggravate him. I didn't want to give him any excuse to pounce on. I didn't want to upset him. I didn't want him to flip a switch and get I just remember very slow movements, and I slowly get up and move to the front of the plane, and he starts throwing things at me. Ice cubes, utensils. He's calling me a go-getter and then an embarrassment, talking about what an embarrassment I am. I don't know how many times I moved seats. I wish I did. I don't. I remember moving more than once, and Johnny came to me each time, not the other way around. He sits down in front of me at one point, and because I'm not answering him, I was looking out of the window, and he slaps my face. And his friend is in our proximity. And it didn't hurt my face. It just felt embarrassed. Did he do that to me in front of people? It was the first time that anything like that had happened in front of somebody. I got up to move again, and he's just taunting me, having a laugh, screaming, and then just straight up mean, calling me names. And it was oscillating between those things. And I get up slowly again, and I just resolve to just sit the rest of the time up at the front of the plane. And as I get up, he kind of kicks the swivel chair into my hip, or kind of just hits me. And I look at him, and he asks me, what are you going to do about it? I just stared at him. I just stared at him and wanted him to see me. I wanted to get through to him. Didn't feel there was it felt like there was a blackness in his eyes. I wanted to look at him. I wanted him to see me. It didn't even feel like him. And as I'm walking away, slowly trying not to be, I was being very deliberate about my movements, wasn't saying anything, I wasn't engaging. I am walking away from him slowly, and he tells me to hurry the fuck up. Hurry up. And I just look at him one more time, wanting to penetrate the monster to see the man that I love underneath that. The man I loved. And he tells me to hurry up again. And I pull my gaze away from him. I walk away from him. My back is turned to him, and I feel this boot in my back. He just kicked me in the back. I fell to the floor. I caught myself on the floor, and I just felt like I was looking at the floor of the plane felt like a long time. And I thought to myself, I don't know what to do. I can't believe he just kick me. No one said anything. No one did anything. It was like you could hear a pin drop on that plane. You could feel the tension, but no one did anything. And I just remember feeling so embarrassed. I felt so embarrassed that he could kick me to the ground in front of people. And more embarrassing, I didn't know what to do about it. I got up and I walked to the front of the plane. I sat down and I just looked out of the window. And Jerry Judge's security and my friend both kind of under their breath asked me, "Are you okay?"
Objection, hearsay.
Oh, thank God someone interrupted.
Looking out of the
Sustain
window.
the objection.
And
No.
Did there come a time that you tape recorded Mr. Depp on this plane?
I want to sit here and say that I was telling myself I needed to leave him. But as he got worse, he demanded the oxygen tank from the flight attendant, excuse me. And he continued to drink and then eventually started howling like an animal and passed out in the bathroom with the door locked. And was howling. And I at some point pushed record on my phone because there was that 5% part of me.
Objection non-responsive.
I don't think it's non-responsive. She's explaining what led up to her tape recording him and why. I mean, I can ask her,
Okay.
will that solve it?
All right.
Why did you tape record him?
Because I knew that Johnny wouldn't remember what he had done. I knew he would not remember. And if
Calls for speculation.
She can say why she did it and what she thought.
But that last part called for speculation. I'll sustain the
Don't
objection.
say I knew. Why did you tape record?
in my experience, when Johnny was that inebriated, he would not remember what he had done.
Calls for speculation.
How can that call for speculation?
I'll sustain the objection.
All right, let's go to defendants 221.
It's so cringe.
And I'm going to play 3 different parts for it.
Your Honor,
And if
may
we
we
can-
approach, please?
Okay.
They're having none of it. They should have been way more prepped for this as well. Why is this so cringe? And like, I feel bad. I don't know. I feel bad having a go when people are saying stories like that. But I just don't buy it. And like I said, like, she's contradicting every independent witness. I do think, like, he shouted at her and stuff like that. I think it was a toxic relationship. And then that brings into the line, like, where, like, if she was saying she was a victim of domestic abuse, does shouting and stuff count? I'm not too sure about the article, but like, overall, he's won over the public really with this, hasn't he? Or he's at least defended himself. If anyone was out there thinking that he was up to stuff like this, because her performance there is tragic. Like, how does she make it? How does she make it as an actor in a cutthroat industry where you have to step on people? Like, it can't be because of her acting talent. Like, otherwise we'd be seeing something else there. I thought she was going to smash it. I thought this was going to be unbelievable and it would get everyone kind of back against Johnny again. But
So we're going to start.
I thought she
with
could act,
221,
basically.
And we're going to call it A, and that'll be 0 through 1 minute.
Okay, sure.
that's grand, Megan, if you think it's true. I just don't. No, I think Amber is probably going to win this case based on what it's on. But I don't think Johnny Depp beat her around the place like she's saying. And imagine what she's saying behind his back. Like, that's going to be all the talk as well in Hollywood. If he didn't do anything like this, he's destroyed.
The first one was 0 to 1 minute. And can we turn up the volume just
I agree, Lundra. Yeah, I think he
part of it, the noise of the airplane is a little bit loud, but
get a bit of his life back.
to be able to pick up the noise.
Just going to turn it down a bit. kind of sounds like the cow that I had at the end of my video today. Is this video of him making noises meant to be her proof of him kicking her in the back?
And then the second one is from 2:50 to 3:20, 30 seconds.
I don't know. It just sounds like Johnny was drunk, making noises, and she recorded him to embarrass him for when he sobered up.
All of 221 is already in evidence.
So may I play the third one then, and then we
Yes.
can take the break?
Yes.
Thank
can
you.
play-
That would be at
You can play
9.
all of it if you'd like. That's fine.
I think that'll torture the jury if I do that, Your Honor. 9:30 to 10, just 30 seconds more.
I must have this fucking lady in case she gets sick.
All right. And you can be changing gears after that, or do you have any more questions for this issue?
No, I think this would be fine
Okay,
for a break.
all right.
I
Ladies and
think-
gentlemen, let's go ahead and take our morning break then. Just do not do any outside research and don't discuss the case with anybody.
Is that their devastating audio, huh? Wow. Wow. We're probably not going to get the.
All right, thank you. And again, ma'am,
Oh,
since
wait,
you're
the
still
sound is still
testifying,
coming
no
on. Give me
discussion
2 seconds.
testimony with anybody at this point, okay? All right, so let's just come back at, let's make it 11:42. All right, 11:42.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, they're going to go 20-minute break there now, is it? 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, but if she's not been crossed for over a week, can you imagine they'll tear over everything she said here and have some plan coming back in? That's going to be brutal. Part of me is like, it's going to be so brutal. I feel a bit bad for her, but then I'm like, do you know what? If you're lying about this stuff, if you're telling the truth, it should stand up the cross. If you're lying, you deserve it. I just assumed so, Gaelic, because considering the movies she's been in. Yeah. Did anyone see the You're have to kind of throw my mind there, and I was small, but the Marilyn Monroe documentary on Netflix? God, it's brutal what women went through and how normalized it was in that type of industry. Like, where's my Navi piano? Give her a play. Give her a play while we're on a break. Does anyone want to come up? Well, I'll throw in. Wait there now. I'll throw in the link as well. If anyone wants to come up for some halftime entertainment. Or will I watch do you know what I will? Some of the ones that I have on the other channel. Yeah, but what would you do, Megan, if you were in Johnny's position, and all that stuff was coming out, and your career's ruined, and all this stuff being said behind your back? I suppose at that stage it was already gone too far when people are writing articles and stuff. I'll just play these. Did you hear this clip, Megan? I don't know, share screen. This is Johnny Depp's reaction to the call being played in the court last week. Or a recording of Amber on it. Listen to her.
Travis, I said to you, hey, tell Travis what just happened.
You told me to do it. You told me to. You said, go do that.
I said, no, tell him what just happened.
And I lied.
And that you punched me in
You're
the
right.
fucking thing. And
You figured
in the
it out.
face. And you said, no, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? And I watched you lie. And then
I didn't punch you, by the way. I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You know, you've been in a lot of fights. You've been around a long time. I know. Yeah.
No, when you fucking have a close
You
face.
didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you. I don't know what the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are you tough?
What am I supposed to do? Do this? I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. That's the difference between me and you. You're a fucking baby.
Because you start.
You are such a baby. Grow the fuck up,
you
Johnny.
start physical fights.
I did start a physical
Yeah,
fight.
you did, so I had
Because-
to get the fuck out of there.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You are admirable.
And I'd say that genuinely was his thing. I say he got out of there a lot when she kicked off. But it's a different girl there, isn't it? And this is her story from when the first time he hit her. Allegedly.
Tattoo he has on his arm. And to me, it just looked like black marks. I didn't know what it said. It just looked like muddled, faded tattoo that was hard to read. And I said, what does it say? And he said it says wino. It says wino. And I didn't see that. I thought he was joking because it didn't look like it said that at all. And I laughed. It was that simple. I just laughed because I thought he was joking. And slapped me across the face. And I laughed. I laughed because I didn't know what else to do. I thought, this must be a joke. This must be a joke. Because I didn't know what was going on. I just stared at him, kind of laughing. still, thinking that he was going to start laughing too to tell me it was a joke, but he didn't. He said, "You think it's so funny? You think it's funny, bitch? You think you're a funny bitch?" And he slapped me again. Like, I wasn't clear. It wasn't a joke anymore. And I stopped laughing, but I didn't know what else to do. You know, I didn't know what to do. You would think you would have a response, but I, as a woman, had never been hit like that. I'm an adult, and I'm sitting next to the man I love, and he slapped me for no reason, it seemed like, and I missed the point. It was that stupid. Second slap, I know he's not kidding, but I don't know what else to say or do, so I just stared at him. I didn't say anything. I didn't react. I didn't move or freak out or defend myself or say, "What are you doing? You're crazy." I just stared at him because I didn't know what else to do. And he slaps me one more time. Hard. I lose my balance. At this point, we're sitting next to each other on the edge of the couch, or I was on the edge of the couch. And I'm all of a sudden realizing that the worst thing has just happened to me that could possibly happen to you. I realized that I wish so much he had said he was joking, because it didn't hurt. It didn't physically hurt me. I was just sitting there on this carpet, looking at the dirty carpet, wondering how I wound up on this carpet and why I never noticed that the carpet was so filthy before, and I just didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react. I just sat there thinking, how much time do I have till I figure out what I need to do? Because, God, did he just hit me? No, I didn't want to leave him. I didn't want this to be the reality. I didn't want to have the man I was in love with. I know you don't come back from that. You know, I'm not dumb. I know you can't hit a woman. You can't hit a man. You can't hit anyone. You can't just hit somebody because I knew it was wrong, and I knew that I had to leave him. And that's what broke my heart, because I didn't want to leave him. I thought if I got up out of that room, I would leave the best thing that ever happened to me. And I wish I could sit here and say I stood up and I walked out of that house and I drew a line and I stood up for myself. I was just looking at the dirty carpet, trying to will myself to get up, to walk out of the door, because I knew I needed to. And I really slowly, I stood up, and I remember looking at him in the eye and just looking at him, frankly, because I didn't know what else to do. And before I know it, he starts crying. And, you know, like I had never seen an adult man cry. I didn't even really see my dad cry at my grandma's funeral. You know, it's weird. And he's crying. Tears, just falling out of his eyes. He gets down on his knees and he grabs my hands and he's touching my hands and he's saying to me, "I will never do that again. I'm so sorry, baby. I put the away. I thought I killed it and it's done. I thought I put the monster away and I've done it before. It's done." But on his knees. And I didn't have words. I didn't know what to say. I just remember thinking that it was just, he was crying. He seemed so sorry, but I knew I couldn't just forgive him because right? That means it will happen again, no? You know, like I've seen the health class videos like everyone else. And I got up in my car. I walked to the car. I didn't say anything. I made a point to not say, "Oh, it's okay," or anything like that. I just didn't say anything. I got up, I went to the car, I sat in my car, and I felt like I sat there forever. I didn't want to turn the key. I just leaned my head up against the window. And I remember just seeing my breath on the windshield, you know, on the the glass of the window of the door, just seeing my breath and trying to will myself to have the strength to know what I should do in this moment, because I was heartbroken. And I sat there for a long time, and I eventually turned the key and drove home.
There's no tears. Not a single tear. Hi, Zero. How are you? Zero, I was looking for your roast potatoes Sunday. I didn't see any. Moonlight, I'm just going to play. I don't know that audio. I am Robotnik. I'm just going to play it there in the back row, maybe. You'll be able to hear it. I don't think I need to, if I unshare that. So what is it? This is a clip from new evidence submitted. So this is Amber Heard talking about Depp, is it?
Right, I don't. It's all about performance.
Well,
Oh yeah.
Amber, I don't regret. I don't regret.
What else?
I don't
What else
regret.
don't you do?
Can you hear that?
Oh, come on.
I don't
Be
regret.
word.
Wait, I'll go back to the
Come
start.
on.
Regret.
Lay it on me. What else? What else other thing do you want to add?
Can't talk
Don't. It's all about performance.
about performance. Amber, I don't regret. I don't regret.
What else?
I
What
don't
else
regret.
don't you do? Oh, come on.
I don't
Be
regret.
word.
I
Come
don't
on.
regret.
Lay it on me. What else? What else other thing do you want to add?
Can't talk
You
to me,
fucking
sound
lying
like
piece
Foggy
of shit.
Bear.
What? Oh,
Like
no.
a
I
kid's
want
show.
to know. I want to know.
Get out your Ubers out
I'm
there.
kind of waiting. You go get it.
Yeah, I'll be in the
Wait, is there no other place for you to run in your 15 other houses to go run? Come on, go be a real married man and go deal with your shit the way that a man does. Go run to the next house. Every man does.
Yeah.
Go.
Going
Run
through.
away. I know it's
With
hard to
your
look at yourself.
fucking ridiculous
I know.
plan.
It's hard.
Panicked fucking plan.
It's hard. It's hard.
Screwing everybody else
Poor
over to
thing.
get
You're
your
right.
fucking.
I tried.
thing
That's what I do.
You are the most spoiled fucking brat. And you've got everybody out here almost full, but it
you're
don't
right.
last
You're
long.
right.
I've
I'm
been here a
sorry.
lot longer
You're
than
right. You got to
because
figure it out.
You don't have figure out what you have to offer as opposed to going out and getting your tits out.
You're right. That's what I do.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
London Fields is excellent.
You're right. You're right.
Excellent choice.
Back to that. Well, I wonder what we else. I wonder what else we can reach for in the last 6 years. Oh no, it was 4 years ago. You're right. I'm sure there's other things you can. Right.
Go laugh.
No, I'm not laughing.
Or no, matter of fact,
I'm
laugh
not
here.
laughing. I'm not. It's
Oh.
serious. I'm sure you can find other things.
I know. And stripping, man. Well, there's always
No,
that. You can
You're
always
right.
go
You
back
can
to
write
that
a book.
for
You can
another-
write a
for
book.
another
I
10
know you can
minutes.
write a book. Oh, is this gonna be good for your book? Oh, should I have you sign an NDA for your book?
You don't even
Your
make-
book.
you're
Is this
not
gonna be good for your book?
you won't even
Is
make
this
it
gonna be
in
good
the-
for your book?
I'll write what I
Hey,
want. I'll write
I have
what
a
I
good
want.
idea.
I'll write what
How
I
about you
want.
somewhere of your journals? You don't want to sell out or anything. Let's sell you journals. Oh, wait.
No, I know. And stripping, man. Well, there's always
No,
that. You can
You're
always
right.
go back
You
to
can write a
that
book.
for
You can
another-
write a
for
book.
another
I
10
know you can
minutes.
write a book. Oh, is this gonna be good for your book? Oh, should I have you sign an NDA for your book?
You don't even
Your
make-
book.
you're
Is
not
this
gonna-
gonna be good for your book?
you won't even
Is this
make
gonna
it
be
in
good
the-
for your book?
I'll write what
Hey,
I want. I'll write
I have
what
a
I
good
want.
idea.
I'll write what
How
I
about you
want.
somewhere of your journals? You don't want to sell out or anything. Let's sell you journals. Oh, wait.
Hey,
Hey, no,
Yeah,
you're not
you don't
what?
wanna sell out.
No, you're not
you
selling
don't want to
out.
sell out,
no,
Magic Mike.
No,
You don't want to
yeah,
sell
'cause
out.
no one does
No,
21
man.
Jump Street when they're in their 20s. No, you're right. That's not selling out. No. when you're in your 20s, you should really know what you want. Like
By the
selling
way-
your journals.
By the way, if you didn't know who the fuck I
You're
was,
right. Go sell your journals like a real non-sellout. 55-year-old. Or, sorry, 56.
6.
51. I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point.
No.
I don't think
It
so.
really doesn't.
I don't really think so. But you're right. I mean, hey, at least I didn't do like a TV show where I was heartthrob in my 20s. God, that would be like embarrassing. If only I was with someone in their 50s that could point that out to me. Magic Mike, you're right. You play a non-sexualized object. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You're right. You got me. You got it all figured out.
You don't even know what movies I've done.
If only I could
You haven't
be
even
like
taken an interest.
If only I could be
You know,
like
but I had to
you. If
watch
only
your
I
fucking-
could be like
I had to watch your
I
fucking
mean,
direct and you trying to like
You're a joke.
spew out
You're
these
a
fucking
joke.
lines.
You're a joke. You're a joke.
Yeah, I'm the joke in the industry, Amber.
What'd you say?
I'm the
What'd you
joke.
say?
I'm the joke in the
I'm
industry.
sorry, I can't really hear you. I'm sorry. The reruns of all my bullshit are playing too loud for me to hear you. I'm gonna just go and pedal my way back. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Aquaman.
Oh, 21, whatever it was.
I was
don't remember anymore.
I was
No
20.
one cares. Fucking suck my dick, you fucking cowardless, ballless piece of shit.
I want nothing
You,
to do.
I don't want anything to fucking do with you. You don't want fucking nothing to do with you. You think I want that fucking old ass fucking piece of shit?
Ah.
Fuck you. You're a fucking joke, man. And you're embarrassed that I even came here and wasted my time trying to get you back.
Good. Go deal with that. Watch that wide load, bro.
What do you want to say? What do you want to say?
I was thinking
You
that
wanna
poor little
say
Amber.
something else?
All she
You wanna
wanted to
say-
do.
No, I want to hear what else.
Hey, what was the posters
Oh,
on your
wait,
wall when you were a kid?
Rosie the fucking Riveter. What were yours? Rosie the Riveter too?
Wow. I'll link that in there, the video that I got that audio from. They're back there anyway.
Called my friends to join me, which was my coping strategy at the time.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to take a look at defendants 204.
Thanks for popping in, Sherry.
Did you reach out to
Catching the replay.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay and bleeding.
Your Honor, I would direct Your Honor's attention to the first one in blue and the third one in blue, and I would say present sense impression and the state of mind at that time.
Right, you want to approach?
Yes.
Action again straight away. Just linked in the audio there. If you want to go listen to that again, it's tough, isn't it? It's tough to listen to that and not like. How do you correlate that to what we're seeing here, like to this? And she even said in that she was the one that went off to his house to try and get him back. And the digs and Jesus, like that's. I only seen abuse one way. I only heard abuse going one way in that call. Yeah, Johnny reacts, but look what he's taking. You know, he made a little dig about Aquaman. Look what she's saying. The laugh. God. It's tough, isn't it? But like if she was a stranger, no, on the street and you didn't know any of this, would you look at her and be like, oh my God, she's gorgeous? Part of me thinks no that I wouldn't, but I say she's a different person as well. Imagine what she's doing. Because like Johnny talked about it and stuff, didn't he, at the start of the relationship, and I think there was other men talked about it.
right, let's go to 205. Defendants 205. And this is a communication between you and Rocky Pennington, your best friend, is that correct?
That's correct.
Objection, hearsay.
Objection. Like, why can't they see the objections coming? Why can't they see it coming? My God. Look at her. She looks so innocent, doesn't she? Looking at the jury. Oh, poor me. And she's definitely going for the Pam US office look, without doubt. I wonder as well how much you can hear. Do you know if you're sitting up there? Can I hear that conversation that's happening now with the judges over? She seems pretty good, to be fair. That the judge, pretty. Can't say she's biased one way or the other. I know. I wouldn't either, but I just want, like, it's crazy when you hear audio like that, or you think you get to know the real person, just how ugly they become, basically. Is she going to remember all of her lies? I say that's what she's doing there now. She's like, she might have something to remember. I'm counting on one hand. I need to hit that point. I was walking on eggshells. Kept building. I should have known better. Oh, here we go. There being an objection straight away.
So 205 with redactions is in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we publish to the jury? Thank you.
It is.
So Rocky on this is Rocky Pennington, your best friend, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And when did you send this communication to Rocky?
Once I had touched down in LA,
And you said, I'm not good. What did you mean by that?
that I needed help, that I was scared. I was scared of
It's not what you said.
had just happened to me. I was scared of what was going to happen to me. I was scared if I left him. I was scared if I didn't. And I needed help. I just needed support.
All she said was not good. All I'm saying is, I feel like that 7 times a day.
I was scared.
Did you,
Why didn't she say that?
your mother and your father about this incident?
Objection, hearsay.
If you want to,
What, if any, communication did you have with your mother or your father following this incident?
Objection, hearsay.
sustain that objection.
Let's go to defendants 222.
It's just embarrassing.
Your Honor, I suspect we're going to be back up.
All right, you want to keep on approach? That's fine. Thank you.
I wonder if she's thinking there that she should have hired different lawyers. She's reading back over the text messages. With the biggest glasses in the world. What's with the glasses? What's going on here? Look at the faces she's putting on. Zoom back in there. Get back in on that face. It's bringing her all back. She read a text message that she sent her friend saying not good. This is probably improv now, is it? The way she's turning her head. You don't need to turn your head that much when you're reading a screen. It's not a game of tennis.
What, if any, communications did you have with Kate James following the Boston plane incident?
She aggressively took off
Hearsay.
her.
Your Honor, if we go to 224,
Okay. 224.
my argument would be business records exception.
Gaelic, were you watching there to see how she made sure not to take off her glasses aggressively? That's how you do it. At the rate this is going, she's going to be testifying still, like when they come back from her own lawyers. We won't get the cross. We won't get the cross till about 2 weeks. Battered on a plane, yet no witnesses, no audio footage, no corroborating correspondence. Nothing. She must be embarrassed as well by her attorneys and stuff. That's mortifying. Like, at least learn how to ask a question. Do you notice as well how Johnny just won't look at her?
So what, if anything, did you do the evening of the 24th of May?
I reached out to friends and family, asked for support,
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
and surrounded myself with them with that.
What, if anything, did you do for Lily Rose's birthday?
That's why we had gone back to LA. Johnny was sick after having passed out on the plane. So I took her to dinner. We went to Benihana's. It was, again, put on my smile, took her out, tried to make her feel loved, and celebrated for her birthday. And then I booked a flight out to New York to go back to New York, obviously without Johnny.
I'm going to ask you to now turn to 225. And Your Honor, I'm going to be referring to the last two blue spots on that page with the state of mind. Mental condition.
All right.
It doesn't, it's still hearsay, Your Honor. May we approach?
Yeah, you want to approach? I just want-
I'm telling you, we're going to be here in 2 weeks. Look at her eyeing the jury. Does anyone have any of those links to anyone talking about the jury members' faces yesterday, or links to articles? I'd love to know some of that. She's pretty intense the way she's looking at him, or is it just a case of she doesn't want to turned her head to Johnny because he just refused to look at her yesterday. Like this argument about hearsay as well. Is this not the same argument that they're having 10 times already? Right, here we go.
I'm going to ask you to turn now to 228.
Your Honor, we're going to object on hearsay.
If you want
First line, Your Honor,
Okay.
is all I understand in Your Honor's ruling, but I think
All right. If you want to come forward, that's fine.
This is going to be it. This is going to be it for the night. What's she doing with the yellow pad as well? Is she trying to stop people from reading her lips, or is she blocking the screen? Or blocking whatever Johnny... He's doodling, is he? He's probably drawn a few pictures. Yeah, she's blocking him. They'd sell for a fortune, all those little doodles that he's doing. It does look like Johnny's the one that's and I think I seen it was on Core TV this morning, a little breakdown of body language and stuff, and they were saying the fact that he can't look at her suggests to them that he's the one who was abused, not her. Yeah, she's definitely just blocking. What's he doing? Is he just trying to tune himself out, do you think? Take himself somewhere else? Just get carried away with drawing a picture rather than listening to her?
so. Tell us please tell the jury what you did then over that night, the next day, and at the hotel.
I cried a lot, tried to surround myself with my friends, and resolved to leave him. I felt powerless. Nothing I did made a difference. You know, on the plane, I was so careful.
Objection, non-responsive.
Please just tell us what you did, and you can tell how you feel, but don't go backwards, okay?
I resolved, tried to, the strength to commit to leaving him. I knew I had to. I knew nothing else would make a difference. So I got myself back to LA. New York. And started going to Al-Anon meetings every day. It's a support group for people who love addicts and alcoholics.
What, if any, communications did you have with Stephen Deuters?
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, let me ask it this way. What, if any, communications did you have with Mr. Duders communicating on behalf of Mr. Depp?
Objection, hearsay.
I would say agency on
Jesus.
that, Your Honor.
You have to lay a foundation for that.
All right, let's go to 229A. And could you,
What is he doing?
without saying what the content is, can you tell us who this text message is with?
Johnny's assistant.
What's his name?
His name is Stephen Duders.
Okay. And what, if any, communication were you having with him following the Boston plane incident?
Objection, hearsay. May we approach?
All right, Ms. Means.
Oh, can she just get rid of him? Yeah, especially if we know what he was drawn like at the time, if they're time stamped. I think he gave one at the start to his lawyer and was joking, was like, that'll sell for millions. But it would. A few thousand anyway, for sure. Like if you were on the jury there though and she's staring at you, I'm like, stop looking at me. You're creeping me out. Depp is wrong. What's she doing with the yellow pad? Is that just a block? Oh, it's the photos of. Is it the laptop or is it to block people taking photos of what he's done? Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I seen, Luther. Yeah, we might see terrors now for real, but it'll just be out of frustration rather than anything else. It's not great. I was expecting a lot better, Spirit. I wrongly assumed that people who get millions of dollars for movies can act. Yeah. I like Johnny's team. God, it is so hard as well not to like Johnny, isn't it? Is there anyone that doesn't? Like, even I know there is a few people who believe Amber to some extent and stuff like that. But even those people, I still don't think they dislike Johnny.
Did you communicate at all with Mr. Depp in the days following the Boston plane incident?
Yes, I did.
Please tell the jury about those communications.
I heard from him directly. I also heard from him through his assistants who were texting for him.
Objection, Your Honor,
Jesus.
hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
You're not allowed to testify about the text messages with his assistant, but can you tell the jury about your communications with Mr. Depp?
Okay. It's kind of confusing because he was texting through them.
Objection,
Right,
Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection. I'll strike that from the record and you'll disregard that
understand.
testimony. Please answer the question.
Just confine it to the communications you had with Mr. Depp, please.
That he was sorry and told me that he was in a blackout. He didn't remember everything, but what he did remember, he was ashamed of. He begged me to forgive him, said he understood and forgave me if I never wanted to speak to him again. He texted me at one point and then I didn't respond right away. And he texted me again that he understood that I had made my decision to move on and good luck and I was better for it. And then continued to contact me. I spoke to him when I was in New York on the phone, and he said that he was he had a chip, or that he was going to meetings. That he
Definitely not.
I think at the time mentioned another celebrity that was kind of advising him on sobriety, or not advising him, but encouraging him. And he was saying, well, look, me and this person, we even went to a meeting. I've got 3 days sober, 4 days sober. And that was the last time. The monster will never come back. Monster will never come back. And because it felt like it felt so much worse than it had ever been before. And because I had, I went to New York and I was trying to get my strength to leave him, I actually thought that it kind of
That's a good
would
one.
be the turning point. I thought I had effectively...
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Overruled. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Go ahead. Please continue.
She's just rambling. She's just sustaining that.
I thought things would change.
Did you draft any kind of email to Mr. Depp to express your emotions and how you felt about all this?
Objection, hearsay.
Well, let's go. I'll lay the
Okay.
foundation, Your Honor. Let's go to Defendants 239.
239.
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
And I would say both present sense impression and definitely state of mind, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right. So did you ultimately communicate to Mr. Depp what you first drafted up in an email without saying anything about what's in the email?
That calls for hearsay, Your
Yeah.
Honor.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just asking if she did.
Not what she said.
Correct.
Okay. Overruled.
Did you communicate to Mr. Depp what you had drafted in the email? And you don't get to say what you said.
Yes.
Okay. And what, if any, response did Mr. Depp have to your sending that email to him?
He came to New York to fight for the relationship, for me, to prove that he was sober and he was committed to changing. I believed he was embarrassed and sorry. He said he was, and I believed him. So I took him back, or I got back with him on the condition that he would uphold his promise to do the treatment, to do the full detox, clean up, and never go back.
So I'm going to take you now up to the June through August 2014 timeframe. And I think you testified earlier, and others have as well, that Mr. Depp brought in Dr. Kipper and his group, correct?
Yes, he did.
Could you please describe for the jury what those next few months were like?
All of a sudden, this doctor gets brought on
Hi, Sarah.
that we had been talking about. I had heard this name before. And all of a sudden,
I think these tears could be real, but it's because she's such a terrible lawyer.
was this doctor was going to be the solution, the cure, and he got brought on board, and all of a sudden the plan was that this team would be involved in Johnny's recovery. So it felt real, felt serious. I felt like protected. I had already by this point heard a million times, it seems like, promises to get clean and sober, but this felt like a change. And they were going to come to Boston and start working with Johnny. And the plan was to keep Johnny on the same level of drugs that he was on since he was filming. They needed him to finish filming the movie. So he was going to be maintained with his with prescription pills, including the painkillers. And the plan was he would obviously abstain from alcohol completely.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
Then when he finished filming, the plan was to do
Objection,
the full
Your Honor,
detox.
hearsay
Of course.
and lack of foundation.
I don't understand what the objection, I don't think it is. I think she was just explaining the content.
It would be a great move to do that, wouldn't it?
It's fine.
How did you know that?
I was involved in the conversations
Yeah.
with the
Sure you were.
doctors and with his sister.
Objection,
And
Your Honor,
nurse.
that's still hearsay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll
Okay,
sustain the
that
objection.
part is. So what happened next as a result of these communications, without saying what the communications were?
A nurse came to Boston where Johnny was. I just would come for short periods of time in between, on weekends from filming until I wrapped my movie, which I did, I think in May, if I am not mistaken. And then I went to Boston and I was there and saw.
Like, has anyone seen him look at her once, even yesterday? Just caught a glance. I haven't.
I believe Kipper came out too, and they put Johnny on a bunch of new medications, which they shared with me, told me about.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
But we have to be careful about what other people told you. Okay, but you can testify to what you know. Okay, so what happened then?
I saw his medications change. I know the amount that Johnny told them he was on was so that they could maintain him for the filming, meaning not make a drastic change in the amount of painkillers he was taking. But his behavior, his whole personality changed drastically. He would be speaking to me, and at the time I was staying in Boston with him, having wrapped my movie, and he would, in mid-sentence, mid-word, fall asleep. One time I was sitting across from him, and he would come in and out of sleep, of being awake, or completely what appeared to be asleep while talking to me, and he had a cigarette in his hand, and Johnny constantly smoked, and he just sat the cigarette, as he fell asleep while speaking, down on his leg. They're hand-rolled cigarettes. They don't stay lit very long, thankfully. But, it was things like that, and I didn't understand it. Even though I had experience with drug use in my family, I hadn't seen anything like this. And it was so dramatic, the change. that I was trying to figure out with the nurses and doctors what happened, what changed, how we could explain the change and what medications were causing it. I knew there were new medications involved. So, I was constantly worried and in communication. And Johnny's behavior got worse and worse, more of this passing out, nodding off, waking up in the middle of the night, screaming, waking up in the middle of the night, sometimes crying. And the emotions would change from one to the next, like by the second. I remember we were on a long weekend when he was filming in Boston, and we went to this like a resort retreat hotel, and he was just bawling. It broke my heart. There was just a lot of changes, and I really didn't know. I felt so bad for him, and I thought maybe it was just what Kipper had introduced into the regime, the medications. But what I found out,
I don't want to interrupt her too much when she's on a rant.
he was taking about double the amount.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Was this
No,
your observation?
I saw it.
Okay.
You didn't see it.
Thank you. Please continue.
It was taking about double the amount that he told them was his normal when he started the
Okay, she might have seen that.
So after a few, it's, I think, months of going, what is wrong? And, turning him over when he vomited at night or checking his pulse. All of a sudden, when I realized the amount was about double, I realized then he had been lying to them and me about the amount so that he could get extra high before he had a detox. But that I can't it was such an agonizing weeks, months. It was so agonizing. I don't know how long it lasted, but I was so concerned for this person, and he had just been doubling up his meds because he didn't.
So, Michelle, can you pull up 1092, Defendant's Exhibit 1092? Amber, did you take this picture of Mr. Depp?
I did.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 1092.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, 1092 in evidence. You can
Guess a look.
publish. Thank you.
And can you describe what's depicted here and why you took this picture?
This was during that time when the prescriptions that he was on in the doubling up of the opiates got so bad that he was like this just throughout the day, off and on. And then he would take Adderall and he'd be really animated and ready to go. And then it would be this again. And it was so erratic and it changed so quickly. And I naively now really did not understand what was going on. I deeply cared about this human's well-being.
All right.
And it was very confusing and scary.
So did there come a time then that Mr. Depp went into detox for Roxycodines or whatever they're called?
Yes, when he finished filming, the plan was to do the detox, and that's what we did.
And when was that?
That would have been early August of 2014. I believe we were there for, I think, a week to 10 days, 8th through the 18th, more or less.
And we've heard some testimony about this, but can you please describe for the jury what took place during this detox on the Bahama Islands in August 2014?
It was, for the first few days, okay, peaceful. The nurse, and then later nurse and doctor were staying on a different part of the island, a few minutes drive by ATV, like 10, 15 minute, by one of those ATV vehicles. But we communicated via walkie-talkie and occasionally through text. And it was okay at first. And then the behavior, then it just really wasn't okay. It was up, down. He'd be mad at me. Then he was wanting a hug. He cried a lot. And then he, wanted to have sex a lot, which is just not like Johnny at all. And
she's
it was just like
snaky
that. It was
bitch,
just
no
up,
throwing out
down mood. And it was like I felt like I constantly was catering to the mood, that whatever he was going through at the time, I was just trying to adapt and kind of roll with it and provide support.
Say it was
I was
just
taking
you,
his
Amber,
blood
to be honest.
pressure. I was on a schedule and constant communication with the nurses about delivering the meds, giving him his meds at a certain time. I was just trying to take care of him. And a few days in, the effects of the detox really started to change. And it went from this erratic behavior up and down to just really down or mad. He would burst into anger at me, yelling at me. I crossed the table. I walked away from it at the table. I crossed the table in a certain way, and he screamed at me about that and tried to overturn this table. Luckily, it was bolted down to the deck, but I remember him shaking it and screaming. And at different point, he was really calm and sweet and thanking me. And then another, he looked like he was balancing out, and we had a conversation, and he was saying he wanted to quit the detox, and he couldn't do it anymore. And I was trying to find the language to encourage him. I was trying to remind him how much he wanted that, how much he had told me he wanted that, how much I was reminding him, he told me all the time, I saved his life and he wouldn't be doing this without me. And I was telling him these things, and I was, at one point in our conversations, I told him about how...
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Please try to continue without what you said, please.
I said something to him, and he got so angry at me, he slapped me across the face. But he did it while crying. It was the weirdest thing. He was crying, saying no woman had ever embarrassed him like that. No woman had ever made him feel like that. I heard that for the rest of the trip too, just on repeat. And I felt bad. I feel bad. Still feel bad. But, I didn't want to make him feel embarrassed. That's not what I wanted to do. It just was in over my head. I don't know how to detox someone. I don't know how to help them through that. And I shouldn't have been there. I don't.
Why were you there?
Because he asked me to. And I didn't know that was a phenomenally dumb idea. I don't know why why the doctors and nurses didn't tell me not to. I had no idea what that was going to look like or be like. And it was hell. We're on an island. I'm trying to take care of him, and he was hallucinating and
Objection, Your Honor,
God.
non-responsive.
Overruled.
screaming at me for things that I said when I didn't say I hadn't said anything. I would tell him, Johnny,
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Well, I think in the context, Your Honor, it's not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
What's it for?
It's just telling the context of,
I'll sustain the objection. Thank you.
please continue and just say what he says and what he did and what your observations were.
He was accusing me of having a man in the house with me. We were in a single, in a cabin. It's basically one room with a closet and a bathroom. I mean, there's nowhere to hide, really. I mean, there's a closet and a bathroom. And he, at one point, told me that I was hiding somebody in the house. Another point, he was communicating with someone not in the room. It would yell at me and then yell at someone else. It wasn't there. And I tried to ask for what I should do. I didn't know what to do. It was terrifying and strange. The whole week was...
So After you left Bahamas and finished with the detox there, where did you go from there?
We, meaning Debbie Lloyd, Dr. Kipper, and I and Johnny, we flew back to LA. And
Definitely, Johnny.
He was going back and forth between saying he wasn't going to continue to, he was committed. It was back and forth. Everything was up, down, erratic, like changing every second. And we got to LA, and Debbie and Kipper communicated with me. I won't say what they said, but I decided it would be probably in everyone's best interest if I went away to a hotel. Johnny put me up in this room in this hotel while he finished the process of detox in LA. And I had my friends out with my girlfriends there to support me as per usual.
So Michelle, can you pull up 272, please?
I'm going to object to this one in advance.
And after you both returned to LA, did Mr. Depp communicate with you by text while you were apart, while he was finishing the detox?
Yes, he did.
Your Honor, I'd like to move the admission of 272.
Any
Defendant's
objection?
270.
Yes, Your Honor, to the first message. Excuse me, Your Honor, to the
You
second.
mean the response?
Right.
Okay.
Just present sense of impression, but I'm understanding Your Honor's
Yeah.
rulings on that.
Okay.
So
If you want to redact it,
can we
that's fine.
redact that second message? All right.
There was
Your Honor,
something picked up there on the mic,
Any objection to
and the lawyer said to him
redacting?
it's going to be redacted.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, 272 is in evidence, and we will publish.
Maybe that's what she's blocking.
And Amber, I'm going to show you now what is Defendant's Exhibit 272, and this is on August 20, 2014. It's a text message from Mr. Depp to you. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And just so that we can highlight here, he's calling you. He says, just to let you know that I'm fine, my angel. I miss you, of course, but this was the right thing to do to speed up the process. I love you more than life. Yours, Steve. Do you see that?
I do.
So what, if any, expressions was Mr. Depp giving you at this point that he was angry with you, ever having to help participate with the detox or to be on the island or anything along that line?
Objection, form, compound.
I'll allow it, but just for trying to keep the record clear, 272 has already been entered into evidence without that redactions, and there wasn't any objection. So I would wish if I could have both sides to keep track of their evidence. It's not my job to keep this.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just got a note to that effect. So
Okay, so 272 is in evidence without, you can clear the redaction and publish it. It's really the party's responsibility to take care of the record, not mine.
my apologies on that one, Your Honor. All right.
All right, and I overruled the objection, so she can answer the question.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Can you remind me what the question was?
Yes,
That's fair.
that's fair. I said, what, if anything, did Mr. Depp say about that you were torturing him on the island and he didn't want you there?
Very confusing for me to hear that because even though he was hallucinating and angry at me at various moments when he would have these kind of episodes, I did nothing but try to take care of him. I'm not a nurse. I did my best to support him. And he thanked me. He thanked my mom. He thanked my dad. and told me, of course, I saved his life, that he wouldn't be able to make this change without me, and that this process was horrible and hard on him and us and me, but that he was so thankful that I was there for him.
Okay, we can take this down now, Michelle. Thank you. And I'm going to take you up to September, October of 2014. Do you remember filming Magic Mike 2 in that time frame?
Yes, I do.
And what, if any, connections did you have with Mr. Depp in that time frame?
Well, I bargained with him about me doing the role. He told me he would call the actors. It was a mostly male cast. But I bargained with him.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Don't say what you said, just say what he said, okay?
He reluctantly kind of agreed to me working on this movie or taking a job. He was filming a different movie in London at the time. I wasn't going to play a sexualized character. I wore no makeup or minimal makeup in the movie. No sexy clothing. No kissing scenes. No sex scenes. So I went and did that film in October of 2014 in Georgia while he finished his movie in London. And then at some point he came out to pick me up in Georgia and was there for my last day or two of filming.
I'm going to ask you to turn to, Michelle, can you bring up 310, please? Defendants 310. Did you have communications with Mr. Depp about auditioning for another role in this time frame?
Objection, Your Honor. I'm going to object to the exhibit as hearsay.
I'm not sure who's in the text exchange.
It is a text exchange, Your Honor, so, but the green is Mr. Depp. And the one I'm most focused on is on the second page, Your Honor, the top.
The green bubble on the second page?
Yes.
All right, so just that text?
Based on Your Honor's rulings, yes.
Any objection to that text?
No, thank you, Your
Okay,
Honor.
if we can get that redacted.
And while that's being redacted, Amber, let me ask you, what, if any, anything was Mr. Depp saying to you in this time frame, we're talking November 2014, about you not working anymore or not taking on any more work or auditioning?
Objection, Your Honor, compound.
They're all the
And
same
leading.
subset.
Overruled, I'll allow it.
Thank you.
Johnny was angry with me for working. I had finished my job and I needed to eventually find another job, meaning a movie, to work on. And he was furious at me for, he found, we call them sides. They're just pieces of an audition, pages. And he found something that had been sent to me to consider auditioning for. And he blew up at me for, I think what he said to me is that I didn't tell him, that I didn't ask him and that because he didn't know about that audition that I hadn't done yet, that I had been hiding it, and was furious at me. I ended up not doing that audition, I believe. Well, there was a few, one or two in that time that I did audition for, and one or two that I didn't.
Going to ask you now to take a look at what is Defendant's Exhibit 310. Do you recognize this email from Mr. Depp?
Yes, it's a text.
Your Honor, I'm going to move for the admission
It's in evidence, 310.
Oh, okay.
It's evidence with
Thank you.
redactions, so I published it.
Please tell the jury about this text and the context.
This was Johnny's response to me apologizing for having an audition.
Thank you. All right, now I'm going to stay in November of 2014. And did there come a time that Mr. Depp told you that he understood that you were not going to accept any more jobs, that you were going to stop working?
Do you know, I'm thinking there, Diane, I wonder, do they have so much to go on now? Can they be so brutal that she'll actually gain some sympathy from it? I wonder how hard they're going to go, because there's a lot there to go on.
To not work anymore, which if you don't know me, is preposterous. There's no way I would agree to that. Although I did make concessions and gave up a lot of
Objection,
these
Your Honor,
fights.
hearsay.
That wasn't,
Overruled.
thank you. Please continue.
So he reached out to other people and to me to that effect, furious at me for taking meetings. There was one in particular I wanted one meeting I wanted to take because it was a project in development with a sci-fi writer, and I remember I wanted to take that. These things were just they were just constant fights, but in between them, when things were good between Johnny and I, he would be, he would word it to me like, I'm trying to look out for you. You say that you don't want to be objectified. You're doing it to yourself, but at first it was because I dressed a certain way or had sex scenes. And then it just got more narrow and more narrow and more narrow what I could do without being the blame for why the industry, Hollywood, the entertainment industry was putting me in a box and objectifying me. So it became my fault. I mean, I believed it. I believed it. I adopted a lot of these changes myself, not because Johnny, said you have to do it this way, but because of all the other things that he said and did, I eventually found myself making decisions about my own career, about how I dressed, about how I wore my hair, how I presented, where my eyes were cast when I walked into a room. And I believe those were my own decisions.
Amber, did there come a time in November of 2014 that you engaged in some couples counseling with Dr. Cowan and you and Mr. Depp?
We attempted to. I had stopped seeing my therapist in 2014. I couldn't sustain seeing
What are you making
her
for lunch, Rebecca?
and be in the relationship with
Before
Johnny,
you go.
and I chose Johnny. Eventually, Dr. Kipper introduced me to his close friend, Dr. Cowan.
I'm starving. I'm just thinking about my dinner myself.
Dr. Cowan, and agreed to let them share communication about my care, my treatment, both what I said to Cowan and what I said to Dr. Kipper, who had become my physician as well. He also put a nurse on me that would be my travel companion, and that travel companion would keep tabs on me and report to Dr. Kipper, who reported.
Oh, yum, yum.
Hearsay. Calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Okay. So tell us about the couples therapy in November 2014.
So Dr. Cowan, this man who is friends with Kipper, who's treating me, agreed to see Johnny and I together. And I don't know how many minutes of that went on before Johnny stormed out, knocked something off the table on his way out, and rolled a joint in the bathroom before storming out of the office, slamming the door.
He's like, did you roll a joint?
Right.
It's like,
So
oh, I
I'm
don't
going
think
to
so.
take you up to December of 2014, and specifically December 17, 2014. And I'm going to ask you to take what, if anything, do you recall of an incident with Mr. Depp relating to Clive Barker?
He was the sci-fi writer that I liked. Well, fantasy
like-
sci-fi writer.
I'm going to update the name of the stream to just hearsay at the start, will I? Give me a funny name there, anyone.
I loved of this author. He's just a weirdo genius, artist, writer. And I had a meeting with him through another director about a piece of property he wanted to make into a movie. And I just remember I believe we were at the ECB. It was in December of 2014 when Johnny found out that I had this meeting scheduled.
Oh, guys, stop now with the food. Oh, Rebecca's salad. Ugh. Keep that.
This plan to sleep with this. He was mad that I was taking the meeting at this man's house, but the man was very ill, like terminally ill, and not able to leave his
brilliant
bed or his home. He was under home care and
I'm stealing that.
very ill. And the person who was introducing us explained to me how we had to meet, and I did. And that was a big problem for Johnny. At first, it was that he was concerned about my safety, and I thought that was sweet. And there is something that's I thought was sweet and romantic about that, but combined with the drinking, it was not very long before I was being accused of full on having this other plan to sleep with the writer in order to get this part that I was already being, basically offered to develop. And it was just this, he switched from he was accusing me of having this ulterior motive with this director, the director having it with me, then with this writer. And the important thing I can try to get across in this moment is that nothing I said, no amount of explaining, apologizing, accepting, not accepting, agreeing to not go, nothing worked. Nothing changed. How mad he was at me and constantly telling me I had done something wrong to deserve what was happening. Until, of course, he takes it too far, hits me too hard, breaks too many things in the house, and then leaves, which was the pattern. And he would leave and not have to deal with the cleanup. He never had to deal with the cleanup. He never had to deal with the destruction or see me.
I know, Shelley. I felt a bit guilty coming on this channel with it. I tried to do it on my second one, but because I never went live before, it's making me wait 24 hours. So I just came here.
Eventually, I'd get an apology of some kind, or I would get an offer to have him come over. He would offer to come over and talk or give me my peace or give me my goodbye. And in many ways, I found myself accepting that, knowing it was kind of false pretense, because I too wanted to resolve it. I didn't want him to think I was sleeping with this sci-fi writer. I didn't want him to think that I was this slut he said I was all the time. I mean, part of me really wanted to believe that he didn't mean those things, and I wanted to get to that part of him that would tell me he didn't mean what he said and that he was acting this way because he was messed up, you know. And the cycle would repeat, I suppose.
Was there any physical violence on or around December 17, 2014?
Yes is the answer to your question. I don't really remember what happened in that fight. I remember more afterwards. I remember how apologetic he was for it. I remember him telling me he took it too far. I remember him saying he'd never do it again. And I remember wanting to get to Christmas. You know, Christmases are hard, probably for everyone. And I remember it was close enough to Christmas that I was tired. I wanted to be in a I wanted to be in a kind, gentle, peaceful state for Christmas. I didn't want to go through a breakup at this time. I didn't want to, you know, that's what I remember at that time.
Let's bring up Defendant's Exhibit 321, Michelle. And this is on 12/17/2014. Is this a text message exchange between you and Mr. Depp?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd like to move the admission of Defendant's 321.
Any objection?
Sorry, Your Honor, just a quick minute.
Okay, I've changed the name to Objection Heard Say, spelled Heard.
Want an evidence? You can publish it, please.
That's funny. We did it funny.
Amber, I'm just going to turn your attention to this. This is an email exchange between you and Mr. Depp, and he says, I am truly sorry to have upset you to the degree that I have. I couldn't be more sorry for yet again ruining your day. I do, of course, take your generosity, your selflessness, your affection, and your sweet doting deeply into my heart, and I think that I've been reciprocal. Agony is never the answer to any equation or occasion, nor is rage. Please know that my apology is sincere and solid, and as stupid as it sounds, I hope your meeting with Clive Barker is excellent. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, and then you respond, thank you for your words, and you indicate you just left Betty Sue's, that's his mother?
Yes, and I then had a glass of wine with my former agent Megan.
Okay.
That afterwards, she encouraged.
Objection, hearsay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, and we can take that down. Let's bring up 325, Defendant's 325, please. And this is an email exchange the following day, 12/18/2014. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, I'd move the admission of Defendant's 325. It's already in. Oh, it's already in, Your Honor. My apologies. We'll get that figured out at lunch.
With what redaction?
It's already in,
It's
so.
been in evidence. Does anybody over there have the list of evidence that's already in evidence?
Yes.
Oh, the judge is going to get mad now.
Sure.
Ours indicates it is. It's in.
It's in evidence.
Without redactions, Your Honor?
It is. It was redacted. I don't know what
Well,
it was redacted to.
The redactions don't.
Is that's how it is in evidence, Mr. Murphy? We can check. We'll check our copy.
Thank you. It's fine, Your Honor. We've confirmed.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
It can be published.
Thank you.
That's- can't see it on your screen? All right, we'll take care of that during the break. If you could just share it there. Oh, got it? Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So this is from Mr. Depp, right? Says, it's a way, I've let it go too far, went too far. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
I always regret it when I jump, or worse, when you jump. I don't want to be conditioned to continue that behavior. Therefore, I'll put in heavy work with shrink. What is your understanding of what he's referring to with shrink?
Psychologist.
Objection calls for speculation.
Did you have an understanding of what he meant?
Yes, I knew exactly what he meant.
And what did he mean?
Shrink is shrink.
What did he call shrink?
Johnny called shrinks, meaning of psychologists, therapists, shrink.
Okay. I'm sorry for being less, for your disappointment in me, for my behavior. I'm a fucking savage. You see that?
Yes.
All right. Gonna lose that, gonna lose that. The devil is all around, right? Now, you respond to this. And of course, before you go there, and he says, I am well aware I should have been bigger at the moment, and that it will never again manifest in negative experiences. It can be done. What a killer concept to visualize. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
And you respond, I love you. I miss you already. Correct?
That's right.
Right. And what, if anything, is that consistent with the cycle that you have described?
Well, the language he used after particularly violent episodes was savage, monster, devil. And so we ended up both calling his other side, the side of Johnny that would do and say unbelievably horrible things. It was very different from the other Johnny. That was, in my opinion, exact opposite. And this is typical of the apologies that I would get when he took it too far physically. I was encouraged because I thought it meant he understood that he could really hurt me. Sometimes I didn't think he understood how much he could hurt me physically. I mean, so after this, I had a visible bruise. I don't remember where, but I remember what other people, well, I can't say that, what they said. So anyway, and
She's learning.
You know, in these fights, would try to stand up for myself by December 2014.
Sneakily got it in there.
I was pushing back. I'd push him off of me. I'd try to hit his hands away. I tried to always get back up, which sometimes, not sometimes, almost always made it worse. Always seemed to provoke him. But I tried. And worse, I would yell at him. I'd scream at him. I'd call him ugly names. So ashamed of the names we'd call each other. It was awful. It was awful. We both got into that pattern. It was so, I felt so angry that this was happening to me, and it just felt so unfair, It felt like nothing I could do. It felt like nothing I could do would change the sobriety patterns. It felt like nothing I could do would stand up for him, and nothing I did made him stop hitting me. Nothing. So, I tried for over a year, maybe 2, of just not responding physically, not responding verbally, just staring at him. I tried to freeze. I tried to go to a different place. I would try then lashing out verbally. I would try to threaten that if he hit me again, that I would call the police. The police were called several times, but I tried to do everything. I even threatened to leave him, and tried to leave him, and nothing was working. And I think by this point in our relationship, we're both saying awful things to each other, screaming at each other, and unfortunately, when Johnny would start hitting me, he'd just win. I don't know how else to describe it.
This might be a good
Okay, that's
time for
good.
the lunch break.
All right, we'll go, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our lunch break at this time until 2 o'clock. Please do not discuss the case or do any outside research, okay? Thank you.
Lunch break. I think it's break for all of us. Right there, pause that. Pause that and play a bit of the piano. Defrazzle our brain after all of that. I don't think we're going to get any cross, and somebody was saying earlier they're on a break tomorrow and then off for a week, which will be a disaster for Amber, because she's after laying down so much there. Now they're going to have so much to go in on her own. I was hoping they got to the cross today, but with the amount of objections, just not a hope. I don't know about that, Deborah. That's a case that still annoys me, do you know that? Did you see the John Benet Ramsey stuff was coming up again this week? I'd say test the DNA, because there's no way, in my opinion, that there was someone outside. Like, it all comes back to the letter, doesn't it? There's no way Patsy didn't write that. She wrote that letter. Sociopath, yeah. He does, doesn't he? And she has really, really bad ones as well. Me too, Bart. I think yeah, I think I'll end this and have my dinner. I don't think I'll come back on unless she's getting crossed, because that'll be good. I'll jump on then straight away. But I can't see I'm getting it to it today. Do you think with the pineapple? She took it to her grave anyway, wherever she took. I just think she's involved somehow. I just don't know about the other people. In the house, even though the police seem to are convinced that he's involved as well. $6 weeks. Yeah, they're starting with Amber's team are starting with her, so it's going to be pretty boring towards the end, I'd say. Yeah, I wonder what they're having for lunch. Do you think now people are telling her yesterday? Do you think she came out of that and they're like, "Oh, Amber, you did great. You did great today"? Like, do they have that many yes people around them? Probably. One look online though, and it's a different story, isn't it? But yeah, I think I'm going to go leave the dogs out, have my dinner, and I'll jump back on when the cross starts. Probably won't be today, I'd say. Oh, and will you check out as well and anyone on the replay, because I might do it on my other channel. I couldn't do it today because I have to wait 24 hours before I can go live, and I never tried to do it before, which is stupid. I should have just clicked on a button. But yeah, thanks for keeping me company and my lovely chat as always. I have the best chat, and I'll scrap anyone that says anything else. Everyone says it, but all the rest are lying. I'm telling you, 100%. Good luck, God bless. I'll talk to you in a bit.